Alright, so today we will watch this video by JohnBrx.
2 years ago, I sat down at my PC, opened up Unity and created a new project. It wasn't the first time I'd done this. In fact, I've lost track of how many projects I left unfinished over the last years. But like every time, I was convinced that
That's totally okay. You can call them systems, not just projects. They are, you can make like a dialogue system or a small game or something like that. You use that just to gain experience and to have a backend of assets that you can use when you are going to produce your next commercial or big game. So it's totally okay. Many people do it, and it's very good to gain experience.
That this time I was actually going to finish it. I had the idea for this project for a while already. Crafting and exploration were always my two favorite parts in games. I never really enjoyed games that make you follow a strict pre-planned path. And after having created countless little endless runners and unfinished mega projects, I wanted to try making my own little crafting and exploration game. I wanted to keep the scope of the game small and simple, which worked great as you can see, since the past taught me how important it is to stay real.
See, it's good to craft games that you want to create, but it's also important not to create them just for you. You need to put the things that the people want to play. So okay, make the game as you like. If you are really trying to make it a commercial game, adjust it to people's taste. In the end, you are not the only one who will try the project, but the people, the community, those who want to play something. Because even if your game that you just created now is amazing, the system of making the game as you like is the wrong thing. This is just basically what companies like, for example, Ubisoft or EA are doing, but in a bad way. They are doing the games as they like, not as the consumer likes.
Realistic with the project. Nonetheless, I sat down and started planning a bit before getting to work. There were some aspects I wanted to have settled before starting the game's development. The genre was pretty clear from the start. The crafting part was going to be pretty straightforward. You gather resources throughout the world and can process and craft them into new ones, or build structures with them that allow further processing and crafting. But the exploration was where I expected things to get tricky. You see, normally when it comes to exploration in video games, it's always associated with huge AAA title worlds that are filled to the rim with details and content. But as a solo developer developing the game in my free time,
It's nearly impossible. Don't try to make a Zelda game or something in exploration. It's not really gonna work without a very, very big budget and a lot of time.
Have the resources for that. I wanted the game to be a pixel art game, but I also wanted the world to have a 3D feel to be my
Also, even if you have, I'm sorry to interrupt the video, even if you have time and budget, if you did not make a AA title or a already good commercial game, you'll never do a AAA title, because it needs communication, it needs pre-made systems, of course, it needs a big team that were tested to make commercially projects. Then you can make a AAA game, because it's super more complicated than just budgets and timelines.
Be more immersive. My first idea was making the game actual 3D and using a pixel art shader when rendering it to the screen. I actually ended up creating a little test prototype.
This is a good thing. I guess that Cells used that. I use it sometimes in my games. It's a very good technique, and it's as I said before, it makes the details of the 3D objects not clear. So it makes a good pixel art and a good 3D at the same time. But the problem with it that is now commonly used, so you will get you won't have that very big difference in art style. If you make like an anime art style game, there's only like Persona and a handful of games that are anime style.
For that approach. The problem was that I had absolutely no experience when it came to creating 3D assets, so I would have to spend hundreds of hours of making 3D models before reaching a quality level that I was happy with. But over the last years, I had collected hundreds, if not thousands of hours making pixel art for my other projects. So I decided to go with isometric pixel art. It provided the mix of pixel art style with the three-dimensional depth that I wanted the game to have, while I didn't have to learn a completely new way of making game assets.
Of course, as I told you before, if you have an already working pipeline or an already working system, use it. Don't change it. It costs money, it costs time. It's not worth to change your working procedure when you start making the game, if it works.
Before I continue, I wanted to mention that if you like what you see and you want to support the project, consider wishlisting Isocore on Steam through the link in my description. I would really appreciate that. So I sat down on my PC and got to work. I started by creating some basic game art so that I had something to work with. Some blocks, a tree, and a basic player sprite. The second step was to create the player and get it moving. I created a tile map, filled it with some basic tiles, and wrote a simple character controller.
But this should be grid-based movements because it's gridded, so the isometric movement would be a bit trashy if you make it like this way. I guess he will fix it by making the player grid move.
UASD felt incredibly weird because of the isometric perspective. I tried a bunch of different key combinations, but nothing felt natural to control. After trying a bit around, I ended up implementing an A-star pathfinding algorithm that made the character move towards the cell that the player clicked on. These were the only controls that didn't feel weird with the isometric art style. Now that the player could move around, I needed to fill the world. I created some trees and stones to place them in the scene. However, the pathfinding algorithm needed a way of knowing which cells could be walked on and which not. For that, I created a second tile map that does not get rendered to the screen, but contains which cells are being occupied by an object. Further, I added a hit and hurt mechanic to make the player able.
This is a very, very nice art style, a very nice visuals. Now it's most up to like gameplay. I guess there's a game similar in gameplay. I guess its name was Forge or something like that. There's many games that looks and do the same. It's now up to making a very good mechanic to establish a very good maybe storyline, and this is what would bring up new players.
To interact with objects in the scene, and of course a simple inventory for the materials dropped by the objects. Now that you could run around the world and interact with objects, I thought about how I wanted to shape the world. My initial idea was to separate the world into little islands that the player would have to unlock step by step. I was hoping that separating the world in these chunks would give a small
it won't, but it will. It's an interesting idea.
World a much larger feel, since a smaller area had a much higher value compared to a large open world. The progress was going great, until the thing happened that always happens. I got bored and stopped working on the project for a month. A couple months passed by when I finally...
You need to remove that feeling from the system where you are like working. Like, stop feeling unmotivated. Even if you do not feel the motivation, go on to work. Because this is work in the end. Like, I don't like going to the gym. And I don't like eating a healthy diet. Of course, that's something you don't like. You're not motivated to do sometimes. But you need to do it. Make it just like a task that you have to do it. And this is when you can do like a great progress.
I decided to give the project a second try. Around this time, I made my first video about the project. It was my first YouTube video ever, and I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. The video showed how I implemented lighting and shadows into the game, improving the game's looks significantly in my opinion. While it didn't add too much gameplay value, it felt like a significant step forward, and I finally had fun working on the project again. The video only got about 50 views in the first month, but I was more than happy. And a little but positive...
Of course, community feedback would make you more motivated, but again, you need to like adjust the thing of like motivation in your system. You need to do it in another way.
Feedback was awesome to see. However, not long after, I hit a dead end. The island-based world design did not feel unique or fun. I spent over a month experimenting around. I made the islands adding up as an area, I made them visible one by one, I changed the size and shape, I implemented multiple generation algorithms and different layouts.
Designing something that are procedurally or auto-generated don't really work out well. Like just in Minecraft, like some people think. In games like Dead Cells and other games, they don't fully procedural every block. They design multiple rooms which are level designed and then merged together, but they are designed in a way that they are compatible with every merge that happens. So it's just like level designing X4. So if you did just level design and published the game with like maybe 4 areas and started updating it for the players, it would be better than just procedurally generating it.
But nothing worked. There was no huge issue, but it just didn't feel fun to play in my opinion. I eventually decided to pivot to an open world format, which I initially wanted to avoid.
Still, open world is just a lot of levels that are merged together. It's not really different.
I reused the pre-made chunks from the island system to create a simple open world loaded from a Perlin noise function. Nothing fancy, but it did the trick. On top, I had also taken care of some other mechanics like a crafting and building system, as well as a provisional UI and some basic sounds, making the game feel a bit more playable. At that point, I decided to give the devlogs another try, and almost 1 entire year after the first video, I released the second one. I wasn't expecting the video to perform much better than the first one, and for the first 3 days it didn't, but after 3 days the video exploded, and my phone kept ringing from people leaving their thoughts on the game in the comments. People wrote what they liked, what they didn't like, and what they wanted to see. And happily, most of the people liked the pivot to the open world. The fact that I could see that people were actually interested in my game was incredible. And at the same time, it also put a little pressure behind the project, which was good for when I really didn't feel like working on it. People started to ask me when and where the game was going to be available. And one viewer pointed out to me that I was missing out on a huge amount of potential wishlist by not having a Steam page for the game yet. He was totally right.
It's one of the things that I made wrong in the first game I worked on with like a team. We did not publish it like beforehand. We like published the wish listing for like 2 weeks and then published the game. It was bad. It is very, very bad. You need to study how to publish a game and make a community for it.
Also, I fixed it right away. Something I've also been asked a lot in the comments is how to get started with game development or what you need to make your own game. My answer has always been that learning how to code is one of, if not the most essential step in bringing your own game ideas to life. But learning how to code can...
Working in game development and making a video game yourself is very different. Working in game development, you could be like a director or a lightning manager or a lightning director, or maybe a 3D only artist, a 3D character modeler, or a 3D character modeler. But making your own game, it means you need to be everything we said before, plus coding and multiple more hats to wear.
Can be really challenging, which brings us to today's sponsor, Cody. Cody is a free online learning platform for people who want to start learning to code. They offer a wide selection of programming courses, and they've recently added a bunch of new ones. Cody is completely online, so you can learn from anywhere without having to install anything. What makes Cody even better is that their entire platform is completely gamified with scores, challenges, and leaderboards, making it easier and more fun to stay motivated and reach your learning goals. You even have your own little AI assistant that helps you whenever you get stuck on an exercise. If you're interested in making games with Unity, for example, I highly recommend checking out Cody's C# course. So if you're ready to start your coding journey, check out Cody through the link in my description. A big thanks to Cody for sponsoring this video, since every cent I make with this YouTube channel gets reinvested into the development of the project and the channel. I liked how the game was forming, and even though the game was never supposed to be hard, I was starting to miss a little challenge. Not a lot, but there was absolutely no difficulty to the game. Since I wanted it to be a survival game, there had to be a way to die. And
you need to adjust the difficulty by playtesting. It's wrong that you adjust it upon your level in the game, because you are the developer, you know everything about the game. So go get out some playtesting from your family, from your friends, and make them try the game. If they saw it as perfect, then it's perfect. If they saw it as not perfect, then it's not perfect. You need to adjust.
What more original way is there than mobs? I implemented a monster class with player targeting and a simple combat system. To spice up the combat, I added a dash, but I'm not sure if I'm going to keep it. The game is not supposed to be a fighting game, so mobs are not that present, but you do encounter some while exploring.
This is where you can redefine the game genre, which will make it more interesting. Add like many boss fights in the game, or add like multiple hard monsters to do or to fight. This will make the game sound a bit more like funky, a bit more different, a bit more like something new for the player to enjoy. It's a survival exploration game, but it's like has a lot of fighting mechanics. You can even implement something like turn-based system inside this game.
Any bit of danger and difficulty. Also, some monster drops are needed for certain recipes, ensuring that the player can't just always avoid them. As I told you, I was using the old pre-made chunks to generate the world at first, but that was starting to become an issue. After playing a bit, it was really repetitive and homogeneous. To change that, I completely remade the way that the world was generated, by generating each and every aspect of the game's world separately and using some tricks to make the world feel more interesting. At the same time, I added biomes to make the world feel more
very, very nice.
After the
you
latest
need to
video
just make sure of how the biomes chunks get with each other. This is something important to know, like how the snow transmit to the forest biome and stuff like that, and make sure the snow does not go with desert and stuff like the natural of the nature of the word that you have in your game. So you need to check all of these stuff out.
Topic, I got contacted by Mochikano. She's an artist that has been helping me out
The
by
art looks
providing some
amazing,
game
by
art,
the way.
giving me more time to work on the development. She's an awesome artist, so if you want to check her out, I linked her in the description. This is also one of the reasons why sponsors like Cody are such a great help. I'm a student going to university currently, so I would not be able to afford having an artist helping me out on the project without a sponsor. Having more time for development, I used it to tackle some often requested changes. One of the most common pieces of feedback I received was about the grid and the camera shake. Many people felt the grid was too rigid or distracting, and that the camera shake was uncomfortable. I've since made both of
That's a
these
very,
fully
very,
adjustable
and
in the set.
if you have different opinion on something on the game, you can make it in the game settings. It would be better to do, because some people will like it, some people won't like it.
Allowing players to customize their experience. The bigger changes that I made include implementing all of the biomes into one singular overworld, adding farming to the game, and replacing the building menu with the overworked inventory, which handles all of the building and items now. In general, I've spent the last couple of weeks working through a long list of points, making the game feel more complete. There's still a lot to do,
The
but once
lightning
that's
is very
done,
good,
I'm
to be
planning on
honest.
releasing a little demo version on Steam. So this has been the
The
2-year
bloom is
development
nice.
of my project.
You might add a bit of colored vignette to the borders. Might make it a bit
I
better.
know that for 2 years it's not that much to show for, but I am more than happy with it. But first and foremost, this would not be able
Maybe
without
make
you
the
guys.
character customizable by the players first hand before they start the game, because it looks interesting and poppy in the gameplay.
The support for this project has been an incredible motivator, and all of the people
And maybe if it was online, I don't know if it's online or not, maybe add an online marketplace for if they have a good sword here, they can sell it in. I think there was a game in mobile I used to play it when I was a kid, called Heyday or something. They had the same marketplace, like you can sell your bread or sell something, and someone who needs bread buy it and stuff like that.
engaging in the comments is a huge help to figure out what people like and what I can improve. So I just wanted to say thanks to all of you. As always, if you have ideas, critics, or anything else, leave it in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, please consider liking and subscribing, and don't forget to wishlist Isaac.
And again, guys, the video is very amazing. Don't forget to wishlist his game, support him in his journey, and very good job, JohnBrx. I very hope your game gets all the success that you want. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.